hear us, Jensen?
Yes, it's through the microphone. Do you want to boost it?
Wait. How are we routing the sound? Oh no, here. Sorry, I was just like, what is Jensen hearing? Is it paired? Please. Jensen, can you hear me?
I saw some signal.
Okay. Can you keep saying something, Jensen? Sorry, we have to see if we can hear you. Can you say something? Yeah. Keep saying. Say something. It should be this. So this should be from the audio interface.
Is it set up in your audio section?
Yeah. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna put this down. This works.
Yes. Awesome. Yay. All right. No worries.
No, it's good. It's worked. There you go. Hello.
No pressure. Oh.
Make sure you're facing the...
Yeah. Don't be in front of the speakers.
Yeah. Okay. We good? Okay. All right. Welcome everybody. Thanks for coming to our launch event. So today we have, this evening, we're going to be presenting some pieces that we commissioned to try and explore the challenges of using small data sets and small AI models when making music. And so the schedule's like this. Well, we're having a welcome, and in about 2 minutes we'll start playing the pieces that we asked the artists to make. And then at about 7:30 we'll have a panel where the artists will talk through the process that they used to create those pieces, and also a chance for you to ask them questions about what they were doing. So next slide, Lizzie. That's great. So this research is funded by the Responsible AI UK funding source. And we're really interested in exploring ways to address the problems of marginalization and exclusion from use of AI models by different kinds of music making practices. And it's a network that includes UK, China, Philippines, Estonia, Germany, Sweden, UK, Canada, and USA. And so we're very excited to have these 3 projects here today. And the first project, next slide, Lizzie, will be from Johnson, who is in the USA, and he will be streaming on the Zoom later for the Q&A. And his piece is called Utmori, and I think we're going to play it now. Are we ready? Okay, so it'll be about 15 minutes, and I will leave it to Lizzie to cue that up. so, oi, where am I going to stand? This way? This way? Okay, perfect. So, that was Johnson, first piece for the night. There'll be two more pieces we'll play, and just to recap, these are pieces of music, or the style of music is something that you wouldn't be able to make using the large models like a Suno or Udio or something like that. So we're really trying to produce music here, or ask people to produce music that would be outside the mainstream kind of music that you could make with these large models. So that's the purpose of this evening. And it's a launch event. I should have mentioned this at the beginning. So all these pieces will be available online. So after today's event, they'll be online for you to have a listen to and in your own time. And as I said, after two more pieces, we will have Q&A with the artists who made them. So the next one up will be Far Maria's piece. I should warn you, it contains flashing content, flashing images, so if that's going to be a problem, then I would ask you to leave at this point. And are we ready, Lizzie, for the next one? So Far is here. Where's Far? Far's waving at the back. And we'll talk with Far after the next two pieces. I should also mention this one has subtitles, which are an important part of the piece. So if you're unable to see the subtitles, again, you can see the piece later online if you want to catch those. Okay, you ready? Okay.
What kind of science do you want behind you? Maybe it could sculpt the contours and mechanisms that I am. I wish I could envelop you as you'd like. Morning light, saying nothing. Coffee steam plume, saying nothing. 250 nanogram vitamin B12 pills, saying nothing. 3 tall flowers in Henning's vase, saying nothing. Breath as the room grips it, saying nothing. Chipped sky, blue, left, index nail, saying nothing. The next 6 months in my mouth, saying nothing. Charcoal knuckle in the water, saying nothing. 74 cents and euro coin, saying nothing. Green glass doves, saying nothing. The season, the impending equinox, saying nothing. Rectally administered 100 mg progesterone pill, saying nothing. Dirty compasses, my eyes are, saying nothing. Portuguese, aloe, saying nothing. Toner, compound of salicylic acid, chamomile, and aloe, saying nothing. Nothing. Blue smoked glass vase from my mom, saying nothing. Blood, saying nothing. Nor tears, my many projects, saying nothing. The sprung floor, love is, saying nothing. Saying nothing. What kind of science do you want behind you? Do you want behind you? When we use our voice,
and symbolic aspects of identity and political representation. For the queer and trans community, the voice is an important vehicle of self-expression, but also a source of marginalization. From the gay voice to speech dysphoria, or even the changes in one's voice from the result of hormone therapy. Yet these ways of talking and sounding, which are outside normative norms, find expression and have deeply influenced many music genres from hyperpop to house, techno, folk, and experimental music. AI technologies can particularly amplify gender-specific, racist, classist, and other biases. For example, unique vocal expressions are generally overlooked or misinterpreted by AI models, often programmed with voices shaped by cultural assumptions about masculinity and femininity, leaving aside the complexity and richness of queer and trans voices. This technical limitation reflects deeper societal biases about whose voices matter and whose are marginalized or erased. Without the contributions of queer, non-binary, and trans people, AI systems will not be able to do justice to the full spectrum of human experiences, but will instead perpetuate social exclusion mechanisms in the long term.
time under midday sun. Dust bear by road of blood spells. I'm thinking about the incline your pelvis took and how your breath touches when you wait with me. The cosmos bends you over at your best noise. Let all of it happen. Twice, three times, melted by it. Can come me, can transform. Let the shift of my shape be neutral. Return a militant without dreaming light. You say you're not a worship. I never was a mutant. Under midday sun. Corta,
I clutch my throat with my cold hands. The skin glued to the metal, it melts. I move between a desire to be seen and a fear of being seen. Never good enough, never normal enough, never different enough. Your voice echoed down my throat, pushed its way through my lungs. Ray of light, immersed in light, like paradise. Your tongue, sharp, cutting through the air.
I exhale. I exhale again. In unison at that.
we will be answering questions later as well in the panel. And so for our final piece, Shreya Gupta will perform the piece live. So we'll just make sure we get all the audio working for that. Are we good?
Yep.
Are you good, Shreya?
So there's just one thing. It is called Jugalbanti, which means call and answer between two players and instruments or something like that. And the idea is over here, just focus on the beat patterns from the tabla and how they get transferred to the drum group. That's kind of what the idea is. Just focus.
Great, thank you very much. real live performance, right? Amazing. Thank you, Shreya. And so we will take a short break whilst we reset the room for the Q&A session and the panel. Please help yourself to food at the back. Wonderful food at the back, all very nice, thank you. And the bar is still open if you're looking for drinks. So 5 or 10 minutes, and we'll come back for the Q&A and the panel.
You guys eating 12 samosas. I remember when we went to the sketchup pudding. It was so cool. When you had the pizza.
Yeah. So I had 12 samosas. Whatever the bomb pizza are probably also 12. I ate 12 of everything, except potatoes. Potatoes I ate less. They are big, so I probably ate 10 potatoes. This is my third drink. Jesus Christ, fuck, I don't feel great. Don't feel good. Joe, this is how the work works. You find something free and you take it. You grab it by the balls and you eat the balls. I'm very capital.
you ever want to use it in real space? You could totally hook it up to anything that you can get. Yeah, it's definitely like, it's interesting because like with Rebecca, when I started using my trainer, it was like what it is today.
Okay, what's up? Oh, don't know much about I was looking back, I was yeah, I feel like that's a natural. Oh, yeah.
If you don't want to do like general
Traumatic stuff.
And I'll ask a few introductory questions, and then if people have questions in the audience or online, we'd be happy to ask the artists to answer them. So I'm going to kick off our panel with a general question to all three of our artists. So I'd like you to tell us a bit about your piece that you made. What were your artistic motivations, and how did you make the piece? So what sort of technology, what AI did you use, what data sets? So I'm going to start with Johnson because he's online and want to see if it's working. So Johnson, tell us about your piece, how you made it, and what sort of AI you were using.
Hi everyone, can you hear me right now?
Yeah, he's a bit louder, I think. Maybe. So just a short minute or two would be great. Okay, Johnson, ready?
Oh, good?
Yes.
Okay.
Tell us about your piece.
Alright. So the title is called Onmori. The name is inspired by one of the Korean traditional rhythm pattern. Okay, so this project started realizing that the way we remember music isn't really necessarily about perfect melodies or harmonic structures, but also I really don't recall music like reading a score, but instead we remember the textures, the way the sound feels. For example, the scratch of a bow against a string, like the tension when the musician presses down on an instrument, or the way the resonances strips in physical spaces. And that's what makes music feel alive over time for me, and that's what I felt was missing in mainstream AI-generated music these days. So I use Wave, and I trained two separated model, which is more focused on percussions, and the other one is mainly focused on string and wind instruments, and then this gave me over how rhythm and the textures interact with each other. And then throughout the compositional process, the really interesting part too was when I started exploring the latent spaces or latent dimensions after the training. While working with the string and wind instruments specifically, I started hearing this really strange, unexpected sound, like scraping, subtle frictions or the resonances of fingers, and it really hit me. So this was actually exactly the kind of sound I had been searching for without even realizing it. And I wasn't really looking for a perfect, clean reproduction of traditional music, but I was looking for those kind of organic, physical presence of the sound. And specifically, maybe you could listen to it beginning of the piece, with those subtle textures with the pet sounds. So the Onmori, and then I built the custom sequencers, you can manipulate those latent dimensions and then generate the linear combinations with textures and impressions in XMSP. So this was kind of my own recreation and journey to figure out my own sonic memories about the Korean traditional music that I had experienced throughout my whole life as a Korean individual, especially modern Korean individual. So yeah.
Great, thank you, amazing. And Fa?
The name of my piece is Erasure, and the motivation behind it was, as I also write in the piece, was based on the fact that AI technologies, they can amplify gender, racist, classist, and other biases. And then I wanted to look specifically to unique vocal expressions, such as the voices from queer, non-binary, and trans people that are usually overlooked, misrepresented in mainstream AI tools. Because usually these tools are based on cultural assumptions of masculinity, femininity. They are very rigid, very binary, very polar. But then I also thought, okay, I don't want these voices to be disembodied from the context where they come from. So then that's why I also used poems and texts, and range from some of the texts will be very direct, others will be more poetic, more symbolic, but always with this idea of bringing the context and the community from where these voices are coming. And to do this, I assembled a small group of vocalists and artists, queer, non-binary, and trans, mostly based in Berlin, most of them. Then we went to the studio, we recorded our voices, we sang, we talked, and then with those recordings, I started training the AI models. And then for me, it became even more important, really this idea of, okay, if you have someone else's voices, and in the piece, sometimes you cannot really tell. In some of the cases, they actually didn't read or said those texts. They were cloned AI. So I put them saying things that they didn't say. So I also have to talk with them in terms of consent, and are they okay with that? So that was not initially my plan, because it was more about representation.
And what did they feel about that? You were asking them about these words that were coming out in their voice, but it wasn't what they said.
I think that raises the question of like, okay, it's amazing that you have representative in AI models, but then who uses those models? Like, who benefits from them? And then one of the things that was discussed, that they feel comfortable because it is within our community. It is within us.
So how do you balance that with, now we're showing it here in public, right? And then it'll be online. So how does that balance work?
Because I showed them and they were okay with it. Yeah. So that was also part of it. So everything that was used and finalized, I had to have the okay with them. Even if I was really happy with something and they told me I don't feel comfortable with it, I could not use it. So I was like, fingers crossed that everyone likes it. And yeah, so I think maybe that taps them more into things that we will talk about later in terms of issues with AI. But that was very generally like the posters.
Shreya?
So my piece is called Jugalbandi. The idea behind that piece was to create a communication between two percussive instruments, which you would not be able to understand the other instrument if you're not specialized in it. So what I've done here is I've tried to create a communication between tabla and drums, and the way I've done it is by classifying individual tabla hits, and because tabla hits sound very similar, so even though there were 15 individual tabla hits that I saw and heard, I broken them down into 5 tabla hits into subcategories of like non-percussive, non-resonant percussive, resonant percussive on the left and on the right, and together, like because tabla is made of 2 drums. And then those classified labels, which were being classified by Vecinator, I'm using that primarily, and those labels are then giving triggers to the drums. And that is how you get, it's not exactly a call and response, it's more like the drums are following the tabla right now, but eventually the idea is to make it into a call and response where the drums can follow the tabla, or the tabla can follow the drums, either way around.
And what sort of difficulties did you encounter with trying to work with the tabla and those kind of models?
Primarily, one of the biggest difficulty while working with tabla is that tabla hits sound very close to each other. Like individual hits, someone who doesn't know, I played it to, my brother is a tabla player, and I played him just one file, and I was like, tell me what this hit is. And he was like, I played 100 of those hits, and he was like, it could be this or that or that. And I was like, if he cannot tell, then I cannot expect someone who doesn't know can tell. So I also realized that there is some sort of an associativeness to the pattern that we learn as a tablaist. So if you know the pattern, you can tell what hit is going on in that moment. So So these are the things which I'm planning to factor in my future research, but yeah, that's...
Yeah. Okay. How far with your training with the voice, were the challenges to training the AI models? What are the challenges you encounter?
Yes. So I mainly use two ways of tackling it. So I focused on vocal and speeching, and with that I used, for example, 11 Labs, which is really easy to use, and it allowed me to go from variations that you can really tell it's not a human till it cloned perfectly, like it sounded exactly how the original recorded, how the person sounds. So that was one way, and then the other way that I wanted, like for the music, so for textures, for sound, I used, I trained like Rave in Collab Wave, and then I used plugins such as Newtone. And I also trained some models through actually the platform in Newtone as well, and that allowed me, for example, to do some things in real time, in which some of the songs I was singing and my voice was reacting and being mixed with their the AI model of their voices. So that was kind of this way of bringing together. So there was those two ways, like the more speaking, and then the sounds and the music. Those were kind of the two different ways I tackled it.
Cool. So let's see if there's any questions from the audience. If you've got a question, put your hand up. There's one at the back. We have a microphone. How is it going to work? Oh, that microphone.
Yeah.
Oh, at the front. Is it going first? Okay. Yep.
I have a question for Bob.
For Bob, right?
I just have a question when presenting a work as the representation and then kind of emerging in the field of AI and generative technologies. Would you consider this your art? Would you consider this representation? Because I feel like AI will never truly encapsulate what clear identity is, so I'm curious what your thoughts are.
That's such a very good question that I'm also thinking about myself, and also with the artists I worked with for these. There were a lot of discussions like that. For example, for me, the way that I tried to tackle that was because I thought, okay, if I only used sonically just the voices, some voices in the community, they might necessarily sound very different, necessarily how they sound, but it's the whole context that we are part of, the challenges, the livelihood, our experiences. So for me, the way of me bringing that as much as I could was through poems, to incorporate actually some of the poems were from some of the artists, and that was the way I had to make sure that the voices are not disembodied from a context, because I thought that is important. They don't come separately. I don't know if you answered.
Right.
I guess I'm curious, like, where, if you could make a fine line, because I feel like a lot of theater art and media prior to the creation of generative AI has been kind of simplified and transposed over social media and like the force of technology. So I'm curious, even if it's just a quote that a queer artist or creator said, I guess where do you distinguish when queer art is truly queer or when it's just, output of that?
I find it, maybe there is not like a question, like right question, answer to that, I guess. I think probably it also depends on, again, if you are using a data set, vocals, music, instruments from a certain community, from a certain group, then I think is also like who uses them, and I think if the person belongs to that community, if there is also the motivation and the sense of transmitting certain message that I tried in the piece, to convey a certain message also politically and emotionally, I would say that then it is queer in that sense.
Okay, thank you. And there was a question at the back. I'll just do right at the back.
My question is for...
Maybe next. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
My question is for Shreya. So, Fa and Johnson have used rave models, as you said. In technical terms, what kind of model did you use? Because in the sound, in the music, there was less sense of unity, I would say, that I personally listen to the songs have. So did you create different pieces separately and join them, or did you create the whole song as a piece? And if you joined them, then how did you join them? Like, how did you relate each of the pieces together?
Okay, so what I understand your question is that sonically it didn't sound like a piece,
Yes.
right? It
Yes.
sounded ideas. And I think that could come from the fact that it was a generative piece, and I was performing the generative piece, kind of. It could have been more smoother for it to feel more united, but I didn't use AI tools to create the music element. I used the AI for one percussive instrument to be understood. So I'm running the classification model, the Bayes algorithm from Baconator, which just classifies the tabla hits, like into resonant percussive, non-resonant percussive sounds. And then those labels then send triggers when those happen. And those triggers are mapped to the drum sound. So the sounds themselves are not coming from the AI model. It's more of the understanding of the instrument, which is coming from the machine learning. I would not use the word AI over here. It's more machine learning.
So you use Bayes to...
The Bayes algorithm in classification model in Baconator to train the small data set that I got from a tabla player in Pune. I asked him to record a bunch of individual tabla hits and then tabla hits, like the tabla patterns of different time signatures, like 12 by 8, 10 by 8, and stuff like that. And then those were put into the Baconator model.
Great. Thank you. And at the back.
Oh, there. I'll just speak loudly. Okay, so basically, my question is that from listening to you speak, both of you, all of you, is that with this new technology, it's almost like when we interact with technology, it's sort of a collaboration, right? And every new technology can be used in different ways. But for me, I think that successful collaboration comes out of trust. And so what you said, really, I love how you, talking about asking permission to share what you created with the people you created with, right? But I guess my question is that with AI, there are people managing AI. It's not just coming out of nowhere. And so I guess my question is about collaboration and trust, and how you feel about collaborating with AI, and also the people behind the AI, and like how that sits with people, and like, yeah.
That's a great question. Let's ask everybody. So maybe we do Johnson first. So Johnson, how do you feel about trust, working with AI, but also the people that actually created the AI models that you were using?
Sorry, I couldn't really hear you, like, what was going on. I could listen to the question, so can I just answer? Okay. So speaking of the collaboration with AI, I actually don't usually say it's collaboration actually, because it depends on the perspective, but like through my perspective, it really depends on like the your artistic decisions and choices based, like, for example, like when you prepare those data sets, it actually, the archiving and then preparing the data set itself could be the artistic act. That's kind of my opinion. And then after you train the model, and then you make some sort of like model that you wanted to create. And then definitely, like it depends on like what kind of model you train. For example, I use Wave in this project. And then, actually I had to spend a lot of time to figure out like what those latent dimensions actually behave. So I have to figure out like those combinations of the latent dimensions, and then like how the signal routing stimulates those models to generate certain frequencies, domains, or certain texture that I wanted to create. In the perspective, using AI itself is really just using the new tool to create new context of art. I mean, like since I have a like kind of background in like music, electronic music, or I produce some sort of hip hop, and then how I felt through those like recreation or giving a new context using AI is really kind of new way of like resampling those like the real world materials, and then making a melting pot of it. Yeah, I think that's kind of my general thought about it.
Thank you.
So if I understood your question, there are kind of like two parts. One way is more the collaboration side, and then if we trust the companies and the tools, the companies that own these tools that we are using, right? It's like, because that, I'm doing a PhD that is also in this field, so I have been thinking a lot about these questions of collaboration. I do think there is a sense, a sort of collaboration, and also maybe in the future, the more they kind of get independent, probably you will feel it even more. And I think, for example, when I was in certain of the pieces that I was doing in real time, effects and triggering, and I was almost in a way doing a duet with some of them, because in a crazy digital way, because you know, and I know them, so there is this weird sense for me, a sort of collaboration. On the other hand, I'm not sure if I really trust the company. Because I think we need better legislation, and I think that's an issue, because I was using models and recordings from people that they knew what they was going to be used for. We discussed it. I showed it. Then I felt it was okay. You know, I was in a safe space.
I am a big person who always says that technology should be open source as much as possible. So I do think that the idea is like as much as possible, if the AI can become open source for everyone to do, and to be honest, just credit whoever was doing whatever, like even if it's AI. Like if you're crediting, it's similar to reading someone's paper and taking ideas from it and writing your own paper. So like if you have, like if you don't plagiarize in the sense of academia, then it is fine. It is just technology taking its other route in the next couple of years.
So part of the brief for these projects was to try and use models that were open and not owned by the big companies. So that was part of the purpose of these artistic projects, was to explore what could be done with those kind of models and what you could do that isn't owned by Facebook or many of the other companies that I can't remember the names of all of them.
Can I actually add something to that? Because I think it's related, that one of the differences that I see is that if you go to some of those big softwares that you can use online, at least the way I'm used to them is you write a prompt or you upload a file, and then you kind of have to wait to the results. I mean, it's very fun, because you don't know what's going to happen. It's kind of fun, but you wait. And then it's a little bit different than when you are doing it in your DAW, in your software, and you are seeing, for example, in real time, you see what happens when you change with the parameters. I feel it's a bit different, and maybe that's why for me it also felt more collaborative in a way.
Great. Okay, so we're going to have one quick, well, two parts question just to wrap up, and this will be for each of you. So, oh, there is one more question?
Yeah.
Okay, shall we do a quick question? Have we got time? 5 minutes, yeah. So a very quick question.
Yeah, very small question. How do you guys, like preparing your own data sets can be a very cumbersome process. I'm assuming for this particular task it would have been a very small data set. And very small data set, correct me if I'm wrong, would mean the model having learned on certain parameters before you, some kind of foundational data set. So there is some inherent bias as to what the output will sound like. So even if I'm training a model with my own data set, which is going to be really small, the model's probably not going to learn a lot of stuff. So how did you guys overcome that?
Okay, it's a good question. So we'll ask all three. Johnson, can you hear us? We can't hear Johnson. Let's just check what's up there.
Oh yeah, I could listen to the question, but I could barely listen to the details. So could you repeat the question again?
So the question was about, so you used a small data set for training your AI model. How much bias was there built into the AI model already before you started using it, do you think?
Yeah, the model's not going to learn a lot of new features with a smaller data set, right?
Yeah.
So how did you overcome that to kind of create your own sound with the data set?
Oh, so the data set is actually from Korean National Traditional Music Center, and then they have like whole archive of like historical music recordings. And then it's all open source, so you could actually use all of them as your data set. And then that was the first step.
This is a live event. Okay. Okay. So we'll finish in the room. Maybe these will be the last round of questions. Okay. So we'll see if Lizzie can get that back up. But Far, how about you with the data sets? What's the problem?
I'm not totally sure if I understood. I think I understood, but I'm not totally sure if I understood the question. Because I'll say, and then if I don't answer it, then you let me know. I used a small, so we were 6 people in total. I tried to have as much recordings of everyone as I could, but there was also so much.
Can you listen to me? Can you hear me?
No, we don't see you.
Just a second.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I think the Zoom link kicked me out. Anyway, continuing for the answer. So like.
You're good.
You're good. Yeah, I'm good. Okay. So like I downloaded all the resources from the National Music Center, and then obviously it covers the whole style of music from Korean traditions. And then that was the first problem actually, because if you train all of those at once in one model, I mean obviously it could sound really crazy awesome. You can include all the textures of the sound, all the layers of the instruments at the same time, cool. But like it's gonna be really hard to like maintain those like latent dimension as a characteristics that you want to express as a compositional materials. So before I actually trained the model, I had a certain images or my ideas in my mind, like which my piece will be like something. So I actually picked those samples from those data sets. So it was like the kind of first step of like artistic sound design as a using AI for the composition tool. And then as I said, like I divided those data set as a two part. One is percussion and one is the melodical instruments like strings and winds. So yeah, I think like those kind of like preparation, like pre-processing those samples are actually it's kind of pre-composition thing before the actual composition. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So
Right. Okay, thank you. And Fa?
Yeah, so I was saying I had in total were 6 voices, so 6 people, and then I went about it so that I tried, in some cases I experimented with training certain models on just one person's voice, but then also on the recordings of just one voice, and then other on the recordings of putting together everyone, for example, or just 2 or 3, and then to see the results, then to see the differences. And also, I think that makes a lot of sense, this like the thing of, while the way you prepare the recordings, it's already, I didn't think about it, but it's actually already kind of part of the process of composition, because you need to select and make sure that they are recorded in a certain way, a certain length. It needs to be really clean and clear, otherwise the results are not going to be that great. And then, but I still wanted also the original voices to come through. So I really wanted to play with, is it the original voice? Is it the AI? Is it, so yeah, that's how I mixed a lot, both of the voices, especially when sometimes I was not super happy with the results of the training in certain models.
Thank you. That's right.
So in my case, I do not believe that there is any pre-existing information that the model is giving, because I am sending, so I read through a paper done by Parag Charodia from the Georgia Tech Music Lab, and he has done a lot of work on AI improviser, tablas, and mridangams and other Indian instruments. And what he, in one of his initial papers, he said that he had a data set of 9,000 something slices. So my aim was just to go above it, just to be sure of it, kind of. So I was like 10,000 something, just to be there. But at the same time, some of the samples are, like, the hits have a bigger release than the others. So the idea was how time, like, I could not keep the same slice length for each of them. So it was, I had to put a weight to the ones which had a shorter slice length, just to make the classification even. And that is how, and I'm extracting the audio features, and I realized MFCCs just do a good job. Because I tried the chroma and other things. Melbands are predictive. Chroma doesn't work over here because tabla is a pitched percussion instrument, that's why. So it turns out MFCCs did a great job, and I then used the classification model, and yeah, that's how it kind of worked.
Great, thank you. So we're going to have to wrap up. I'm going to have a very quick fire question for each of you, and then we're going to finish and move on to the final performances. So it's a very generic question. So the question is, what worries you most about using AI in music at the moment, and what are you most optimistic about the potential for AI in music? Okay, so very quick, just a sentence each. So maybe we go for Johnson first, in case there's more technical problems. So what worries you the most about AI in music, and what are you most optimistic about?
The most worrying thing I think of is kind of who controls the data ecosystem and how that actually shapes the way AI interprets the music. Like, it's kind of like the battling between the quantity, between like all of the different nationalities or organizations, and then how they actually put them on the, server or internet or whatever. And then if they just dominate there's like a lot of numbers of like audience in certain style of music, for example, and then they just labeling it as a like in general, like kind of, and if they get, label them as a general terms, then that would be kind of problematic situation. That's kind of worrying thing.
What are you most optimistic about?
Optimistic thing, I think is like, I think it's going to change the perspective, like kind of perception of like how actually people consume the music. Yeah. Right now, when you play the music, like how people these days consume the music is like to kind of make playlist, or in visual world, like people start to make a mood board that represent them well, or people actually decorate their Instagram feeds to represent them well. And this is just not single like piece; it's kind of collection of like multiple choices or multiple outcomes. And then like how people would consume the music itself, it will change to like kind of multi-dimensional way of listening to it or feel it in a space or in headphone as well. I'm not sure what it's gonna be exactly or how it looks like exactly, but like that's how I think.
Great, thank you. Quickly.
For me, what worries most is copyright, ownership, the lack of legislation. For me, those and also like who benefits from those models. So for me, those are the main things that I could think are like.
What are you most optimistic about?
That we get to this level of partnership.
Yeah.
So like to somehow this more integrated even on your process of making music, and ideally that some of the tools do things that, for example, you don't like that much to do.
Yeah, that'd be good. Great, thank you. Shreya?
For me, honestly, yeah, they took controls and stuff, but at the end of the day, just make it open source. Let people do whatever they want to do with it. And yeah, just cite everything, give credits for everything so that other people can see what it is and they can use it. And what I'm most optimistic about is the fact that, to be honest, like my mom can go on Susuno or YouTube and be like, I need a happy song in Hindi, and it's there. So I mean, if it can make someone feel happy in a second, why not? Like it's like when globalization happened, everyone was doing what everyone was doing. So it's just another stepping stone, I believe, and it's gonna be there for a while, but the personalization won't go away.
Well, thank you very much. Well, thank you to our panel. So we will take a very quick technical break whilst we reset up for the next section, and we'll have 3 performances, and we will finish a little after 9, maybe a little bit later than previously planned, but 3 more performances, which will be using some AI, some not AI, but enjoy. So, and the artists will be around if you want to chat with them, eat more food, have some drinks, and see you later.
Do it.
because it brings new perspectives. Because I've worked with my sister, and so we never, as an individual, as part of the collective, we never want to attach to anything, because my relationship with him is more important than what we create. And so if I have an idea that I think is really, really great, and I'm like, we should do this, and then I can't. Do you know what I mean? It's really hard to have the time.
I myself that even if I have the someone I can say but there were some moments that was
yeah, yeah, we need to just keep it okay.
Really annoying. I'm not trying it seems like
Turned it down.
I think
Is anyone side? It's only on one side. Only on one side. Okay. It does, but it doesn't really give us a solution the next step. It's not everything hard to be anything. This is coming up.
Put it down.
Performance is starting now. So, we have our first artist. Do you want to introduce yourself and a bit about your work?
So guys, my name is Remy. Remy. Yeah, so basically, the performance today, basically I am Nigerian by heritage, and the piece is based around the idea of the talking drum. So in Yoruba, the talking drum or the dundun used not just for music creation, but it was historically used for communication to allow for people to communicate over long distances. So the dundun or the talking drum it's a pitched instrument. So it's a drum that has like strings on the outside. The player will squeeze, which allows them to change the tension to getting different pitches. Yoruba, the language itself, is also a tonal language. So the language itself can be easily translated into the drum playing. And so my idea for this piece is basically to try and play around with the idea of having the talking drum actually talk, so trains a model on Yoruba speech, and having Yoruba speech transformed into dundun, like the talking drum. Yeah.
Thank you. Maybe.
You doing it?
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you so much.
So we run a little bit late. We just have to go
Can we get, is the sound on this?
Yeah.
Should we go now?
It's the same as before. Same?
Ah, I see. So we are.
How are you doing? Sounded like sounded like that's why I really made it very so yes.